Well, hello, amazing students. This is Dr. J, and I'm going to do a different type of video today. I'm actually going to do a live demo of me personally writing a discussion post. So if you are a little bit stuck, not quite having a good experience writing discussion posts, not getting the grade you want, or really struggling in the process, this video is absolutely for you. Let me give you a little bit of a frame of reference. I'm personally taking a graduate level course right now focused on helping to enhance our skills and to better work with students. So just a little frame of reference, I'm writing a discussion post. The discussion post is actually due tomorrow. This is Wednesday, it's due Thursday night. I always work to make sure that any assignment I have is always submitted at least one day prior to the deadline. This is the questions that I'm addressing in this particular discussion post. A brief introduction of yourself to the class, how you see your role in adult online learning, referencing but not summarizing at least two of the above articles, and your goals for this training experience. Those are the questions that are asked, and that's framing my discussion post. Now, let me take you through the process of the steps that I use to write a discussion post. Now, let me also share with you that I did not plan to do this video, so I'm actually kind of down here in the process, but I'm going to walk you through the things that I've done along the way and hopefully help to answer some questions or give you some insights on how to write an effective discussion post and not take 4 days to do it. So here's how this works. First thing is to read everything at least twice. Read the instructions, read the requirements, read the questions that you're going to answer at least twice so that you have a thorough understanding of what it is that you're going to write about. The next thing I'm going to do is read the research. Now, talked about up here, referencing at least two of the above articles. This particular assignment, I got them on another screen here, gave us links to 3 different articles. The first one is here, Adult Learning Theory. The second one is Transformative Learning in Adulthood. And the third one is Theory of Adult Online Learning, the Trellis theory. So those were the 3 articles to read. Now let me stress this. I read these articles. You have to do the reading. You got to do the research. You got to put the time in to do this. If you do, the stuff will be incredibly easy for you and you will learn a lot. You'll have great grades. I didn't like the way that this particular article was formatted on the page. I copied and pasted this onto a Microsoft Word page. And by doing that, I was able to easily come in here and highlight stuff of interest to me, things that stood out that I wanted to make sure and address in my writing. So I did that one. I actually read this article first. Then I downloaded the PDF of this third article, and I did the exact same thing. You can see this article is a little lengthy, but I focused on the important elements that I wanted to talk about in relation to my teaching style and identified some highlights there. And then the third article, I did the same thing. I copied and pasted this into a Microsoft Word page. I read through it. This one's not very long. And I was able to identify some key points that, again, I wanted to address. I don't plan on saving these after I'm done with this paper. And this entire process to complete from start to finish took me about 90 minutes, about an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 45 minutes to read the requirements thoroughly, to read 3 different research articles, get my information, make my notes, outline, draft, add my references, proof and edit. That entire process took me about an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. This is not something that will take you days or even all week to do, but something you can literally sit down and do in a couple of hours, or at least an hour one day and an hour the next day. I made notes on my research, you saw that, and then I'm going to create a quick outline, a roadmap to guide my writing. When I'm making notes in here, I'm actually creating my outlines, the things that I want to talk about. Then I'm going to move into a draft. I'm going to add my references on a proof and edit. Right now, I am actually in the very last step, and then it occurred to me that I should make this video, so I took pause to do that. So let me go to the actual post that I've written. Let me start out by saying if you're not using Microsoft Word to write your discussion post, you are doing yourself a disservice. You're making life a little more challenging for you. And quite honestly, it's a little bit foolish sometimes because I've had students come to me that said, Dr. J, I was in the middle of finishing up my discussion post when my internet went out and I lost my post and I don't know what to do. And I just say, sorry about your luck, but you got to rewrite it. By the way, that's happened several times over the years. So do this. Start out with your discussion post. You can see I've actually saved this one and I put it into a folder so I can keep all of them handy. But I start out by putting the questions at the top of my page. Then I'm going to just show you here, this is my outline, intro on me. Okay, so this is the process of me creating an outline is in here. I haven't deleted them out yet. Transformational learning. So I'm going to talk about transformational learning. I'm going to talk about being open to new ideas, changing your frame of reference, building rapport. I'm going to go down here and talk about this adult learning and transformational style, creating a new frame of reference, helping students to see value in what they learn, and helping students to find their why. Now, these are just little notes to me to give me a direction of what I'm going to write about. This is not set in stone. And for some students, you might have an outline that could be longer. It might be 2-3 sentences. You might put short paragraphs into this. You might have more bullet points. Again, it's about finding what works for you. Then I have my conclusion, sum up how I see my role in the classroom, and goals for the class. And then you can see I've written a paragraph here, and here are my references. So I'm at that point now where I've done my intro. This is still a rough draft as I'm tweaking it, but the process to develop this came by way of me reading the research and saying, here are the things that I want to talk about. Okay, so let me read some of this stuff to you. Hello, colleagues. My name is Jeremy Colvin. I currently live in St. Pete, Florida. I have much experience in the classroom, having taught online college courses for about 9 years, and also live trainings and seminars for about 15 years. I'm a clinical psychologist, and much of my clinical work has been with at-risk youth. I'm not going to take a lot of time to fix these, but you can see my errors in here. I use Grammarly to go through this stuff so I can improve my writing, but I will do that secondarily. At-risk youth, as well as dual diagnosis and substance abuse treatment. Sadly, much of this has been with adolescents. So I've done a lot of work with 15 and 16-year-olds that are in rehab. I am passionate about teaching in general and have spent much of my life coaching, training, or teaching in some capacity. I look forward to learning as much as I can in this course as well from all of you. Okay, so that's paragraph 1 of my discussion post. Again, the question was to introduce myself to the class. Then it's going to talk about the couple of things that I learned from these articles to match my teaching style. Much of my early teaching experience comes from facilitating personal growth seminars and retreats. In this capacity, much of my work focused on transformational growth, helping individuals change their frame of reference and to look at the world and others differently than they have in the past. There it is in there. Okay, it has always been easy for me to read people and their emotions, very comfortable to rely on my personal intuition, and I am very comfortable relying on my personal intuition when teaching and coaching students. When starting a new course, I seek opportunities to build trust with my students and demonstrate my care and concern for their personal and academic success. I seek to learn from my students as they learn from me, and often use my personal experience as stories to not only build rapport with my students, but also as a way to demonstrate my personal drive to grow from my experiences. I'm going to rewrite that because that's not well written, but again, I'm still in that draft mode. But one thing that I wanted to really stress to you is, where did that information come from? You can see right here is my in-text citation. I summarized a lot of information. And this is tying in, the question is asking me to draw from my personal experience. And so this is the reference right here. It was one of the articles. And as you go in here, you can see transformational learning occurs when individuals change their frame of reference by critically reflecting on their assumptions and beliefs, and conclusion making and implementing plans that bring about new ways of defining the world. And so that's what I was talking about in helping students to reframe things or see things differently. I think many of you could probably relate to this. A year into the program, 2 years into the program, you're starting to think about the world a little differently than you did prior to starting your program. And that's one of the things that instructors try to do quite a bit. Okay, so I think you guys get the picture. Others rely more on intuition and emotions. Okay, so there's one advocate a rational approach that depends primarily on critical reflection, whereas the other relies more on intuition and emotions. And so that's what I was talking about in this approach that I use for transformational learning. I tend to look at this more as using my personal intuition, reading emotions and things of that nature, and helping students to make those connections. So hopefully you're seeing that. I'm taking information from the research, tying it together, and putting it into a paragraph. Now, let me go down and continue here. My experience within the personal growth arena has served me well in teaching adult learners in the classroom. Adult learners often only take on tasks they can complete and avoid new projects and challenges that are unknown to them. And I want to pay particular note to this. You can see Banner 2014. It's one of the references that I have. By the way, this is a reference tool that I use. It's called Perla. It's something you have to purchase additional. It's good, but the reference tools within Microsoft Word are also very good. And I'll do a demo on those as well to help students learn and master those. So I started to talk about some of the things in this other article about students not taking on things that they don't know very well. I think it was this article. Learners are likely to pursue goals and activities of which they believe they are capable and of which they believe they understand. So I want to say this again. My experience working within personal growth arena has served me well teaching adult learners in the classroom. Adult learners often take on tasks they can complete and avoid new projects and challenges that are unknown to them. I wanted to specifically mention that because this is where I got it from, this piece of text right in here. But notice I didn't use these exact words. I didn't put a quote around it. I put that information into my own words. And that's something I really want to drive home with you guys. And then I referenced it. The challenge I learned quickly on is that many, sometimes most, of the activities we ask students to do in the classroom are new to our students. While adult learners may have some motivation to learn, my experience has been that this drive can quickly wane if students do not see the value in what they are expected to learn. Pappas 2013. Where did that information come from? It came from the third article. The third article in here talks about experience, including mistakes, provides the basis for learning activities. Adults are most interested in learning subjects that they have immediate relevance and impact to their job or personal life. Okay, so we're helping students to make those connections about here's the information, and if I help you to make the connection about how it's valuable in your personal life, that will enhance the learning process, okay? So this can be a challenge in teaching general education courses where often the subject of the course is not directly linked to the student's major. However, I found that asking students the why question not only leads to building stronger rapport, but also helps them to connect the dots and see the value in doing their courses, as well as how they can apply the knowledge to their personal lives. Where did I get this information? From the research. This is not information that I made up. This is not information I just got off the top of my head. It's information that I pulled from this particular article where we're talking about, if I go down here a little bit, instruction should be task-oriented. So again, we're talking about helping students to identify those things that are going to transfer into their lives. How is this going to be valuable for you? For all you students that are taking this course, whether it be psychology class or ethics or one of the other classes that I teach, I'm helping you to identify some of the things that are going to be in this course that you're going to use all the time. no matter what your major is. If you're in psychology class, for example, and you're a nursing student or you're a business student, I talked to you a little bit about how understanding human behavior can help to enhance your job or make better connections with your customers or your coworkers. And so that's what we're talking about here. Conclusion. Okay, sum up how I see my role in the classroom and my goals for the class. In short, I see my role in the classroom as more of a facilitator and coach. My job is to build rapport with students, address their questions, and help them make connections with the course materials by seeing how they can use the information in their lives. My goal for this class is to learn better how to connect with students and help them to make connections to the course content as much as possible. I also seek to learn from my colleagues in this course, as I have found that much of what makes me a good teacher is my openness to learn from others, often from my own students. So that's it in a nutshell. You can see here are my references down below. Now, again, it probably took me about an hour-ish to write this whole thing out after I kind of got my frame of reference. Didn't take me very long to read the articles, maybe about 10, 15. Two of them were like 10 minutes. One was like 15, 20 minutes. I did a little quick outline. That took me 5 minutes, and then started to fill in the blanks. And so you want to do this. And again, I'm very well practiced at this, so this process might take you a little bit longer, but if you follow this process over and over again, it'll help you to write better and better discussion posts, and also easier. There's no reason that students, at least in the 200 level classes, maybe after they've been around and had 6, 8, 10, 12 classes under their belt, that they're not writing their discussion posts in 90 to 120 minutes and moving on with their week, because I think a lot of students spend considerably more time with it than that. Now, last but not least, I'm going to run Grammarly through it. I'm going to read it through real quick, and then as I go, I'll certainly pull out these little outline notes that I've had for myself in the middle of it. I'm going to pull out the questions. So my final product will look something like this. I have 3 outside sources and 550 words. Again, it's really about covering the questions, covering the topic. It's about making sure that you've addressed all the objectives of that particular submission. So I hope this helped you to get more on track with your discussion posts. This exact process is what I use to write a research paper, albeit the outline's going to be a little more comprehensive. There might be more references, but I'm basically going to do the same thing. I read that research. It kind of helps me to frame my outline. I develop my outline from the ideas and notes that I've took from the research. Then I start filling in the blanks and start writing it out. This is Dr. J. I hope you found some value in this video. I hope this helps you to write and submit better written submissions to the program, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.